Avi Loeb, the renowned Harvard astrophysicist who transformed our initial interstellar guest Oumuamua from an unremarkable celestial sighting into an international scientific enigma, has recently disclosed shocking mathematical findings about the third verified visitor from outside our stellar neighborhood, Borehood, the mysterious traveler cataloged as 3I Atlas. What Loeb's computations expose causes tremors throughout the research establishment. This gigantic voyager speeding across our celestial vicinity might lack the compact, heavy interior we've consistently expected. Rather, the data progressively suggests something remarkable. Its core could be empty. Should this prove valid, it revolutionizes entirely our comprehension of 3I Atlas and interstellar visitors broadly. So we must ask, what might this discovery actually signify? Allow me to guide you systematically. Initially, Loeb's claim seems to challenge rational thought and scientific logic. Bodies wandering through the frozen void separating star systems ought to exemplify ultimate density, primeval glacial peaks of ancient ice and condensed minerals, formed through gravitational pressure inside foreign stellar furnaces spanning eons. However, Loeb's computational model resists simple rejection or neglect. 3I Atlas, presently crossing the region dividing Mars and Earth's trajectories, possesses calculated weight near 33 billion tons. For comparison, picture combining over 5,000 Egyptian pyramids. Its width spans roughly 5 to 46 kilometers based on material estimates. However, this is where the puzzle intensifies dramatically. As this enormous body traveled just 29 million kilometers from Mars on October 3rd, its gravitational effect proved basically absent, fundamentally invisible. For experienced astrophysicists, this creates confusion similar to setting a massive bowling sphere alongside a featherweight basketball and finding equal gravitational effects. The mathematics fails to align. Basic principles clash with measurements. Two options exist, neither matching established theories. Perhaps 3 Atlas comprises unusual matter with thickness below anything cosmic forces naturally produce, less dense than synthetic insulation. Or possibly, significantly reduced material exists inside compared to surface dimensions. Mathematical models repeatedly favor one solution above others, empty space within. Loeb's logic proceeds systematically. Should this body constitute consistent frozen minerals and ice, its complete weight and spinning behavior would fulfill expected mathematical patterns from orbital dynamics. They absolutely don't. The detected rotation seems excessively slow given visible size, or alternatively, weight proves insufficient for measured rotational balance. Resolving these conflicting measurements demands eliminating major interior weight, producing internal emptiness. This unavoidably indicates shell construction. Certainly, nature creates holes and gaps under particular conditions. Various asteroids comprise loose debris collections, gravity-weakly connecting pieces riddled with vacant regions. Yet nothing matching this huge magnitude, moving at such tremendous interstellar speeds, emerging from completely different stellar regions, has displayed this degree of interior vacancy. The troubling prospect that we're witnessing engineered construction, a manufactured shell, possibly a craft built for objectives we can't comprehend, resists simple intellectual rejection. For Loeb, this investigative realm seems eerily recognizable. During 2017, as the strange, elongated body Oumuamua passed our cosmic region, he courageously suggested its puzzling, unexplained propulsion could indicate deliberate construction instead of standard outgassing, possibly alien technology driven across space through solar energy hitting an extremely flat-sail design. Most scholarly peers reacted with doubt and rejection, choosing intellectual safety through standard natural theories. However, now, 6 years following that dispute, another interstellar guest has reached our sensors. Another deep mystery emerges through our equipment. Again, relentless calculations suggest something our species hasn't previously witnessed. As the scientific establishment focuses advanced equipment upward, carefully recording what arrives from stellar emptiness, another observational community documents something similarly remarkable. They've recorded strange events occurring along our atmospheric edges, unknown bodies repeatedly emerging exactly when our species tries escaping Earth's grip. Joanna Sansone, an accomplished rocket propulsion engineer possessing doctorates in theoretical physics and aerospace technology, having substantial NASA launch system experience, recently chose breaking extended professional quietness. Her declaration matters. She states that during many rocket missions, including major cargo flights toward the International Space Station, technical crews repeatedly witnessed unknown vehicles executing complex movements along launch paths. These aren't vague, faraway glows confused by amateur watchers scanning overhead. These constitute events personally observed by propulsion experts, telemetry specialists, skilled workers whose livelihoods require computational accuracy and precise measurement. Following Sansone's thorough testimonies, these vehicles emerged throughout crucial launch moments, seemingly expecting countdown timings, performing movements completely exceeding any recognized earthly aviation abilities. They change directions lacking inertial effects, speed up immediately lacking visible propulsion traces, sustain fixed floating locations opposing environmental airflows. During several recorded instances, she claims launch procedures seem briefly linked with their unknown presence, like attempting atmospheric departure somehow attracts their concentrated interest. Significantly, Sansone carefully bypasses using the culturally weighted word aliens throughout her statements. Rather, she precisely uses star beings, implying awareness possibly functioning through completely alternative concepts where consciousness directly connects with material existence at basic scales. This theoretical model could seem like abstract philosophy before reviewing released governmental records showing such consciousness. Focused theories were previously studied extremely seriously through U.S. intelligence programs. During 1983, a remarkable report called the Gateway Experience moved within secret official networks, written by Army Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonald, particularly for CIA assessment. This notable investigation examined if human awareness might genuinely function outside standard limits restricting bodily presence. Using practical studies from the Monroe Institute, which created particular sound wave designs for coordinating brain hemisphere activity, the secret analysis achieved surprising results. It proposed human consciousness could, through exact controlled settings, actually surpass space-time boundaries. The document suggested at smallest quantum dimensions, particularly Planck measurements where standard temporal and distance concepts become probability waves, awareness might reach data networks immediately, entirely free from light speed restrictions. Sansone admits she unexpectedly found this release file while researching during 2021, and its information completely changed her understanding of strange events she and aviation peers had consistently observed during professional work. Consider this theoretical structure. If awareness actually can affect physical existence at quantum dimensions, she concluded, maybe these star beings travel galactic spans not using standard thrust mechanisms we recognize, but instead through concentrated mental focus, through directly adjusting F. Fundamental quantum likelihood conditions. Admittedly, initially this theory resembles fictional imagination. However, quantum physics has proven something essential regarding existence's basic character. The watcher doesn't stay neutral during quantum tests. Remember the renowned double-slit trial that permanently altered science. Atomic fragments display wave-like overlap behaviors before someone observes them. Watching immediately transforms endless likelihood ranges into specific solid results. At existence's foundation, the cosmos clearly reacts to deliberate observation. More notably, this phenomenon doesn't need human awareness. Automated sensors, including basic living systems, cause equivalent wave reduction. Existence fundamentally responds to being watched or recorded. Suppose this concept doesn't end at quantum dimensions but reaches larger visible existence. A sophisticated awareness achieving total command over the complex connection linking consciousness and material substance might build ships crossing distance, not using standard fuel burning or mass discharge, but through adjusting likelihood waves directly. These vehicles would seem to appear and vanish immediately, perform unthinkable direction, shifts lacking adjustment times, entirely ignore momentum rules, not violating natural principles, but having discovered operating within existence's quantum base at degrees we're just starting conceptually grasping. Consider an uncomfortable balance developing through these findings. Here exists an empty interstellar body entering our stellar region's limits, possibly constituting a ship sent from cultures living in remote history. There we record unknown vehicles sustaining locations along Earth's environment, repeatedly emerging at exact instances when our species tries escaping gravitational confinement. One event seems directed toward our planet, The other looks toward space. Might this constitute communication happening over galactic limits? Rejecting this complete sequence as random chance definitely provides mental security and preserves current understanding. However, experience repeatedly demonstrates that each groundbreaking conceptual change starts with measurement information, making recognized experts deeply uneasy. The shocking understanding that Earth circles the Sun instead of being universal center. Finding apparently dense matter comprises mostly vacant quantum regions. Learning that light waves can currently display both grain and surge properties. Every advance originally challenged accepted reasoning until becoming recognized reality. What Loeb's computational study implies doesn't constitute absolute evidence of alien building or foreign assembly. The consequences seem more subtle and intellectually significant. They suggest our strict separation dividing natural from engineered could be mentally insufficient and unnecessarily limited. If natural principles actually function equally throughout all galactic areas, then awareness, anywhere and any time it develops across the cosmos, will unavoidably use those principles using approaches and machines our present culture hasn't imagined or understood. An empty, organized form moving quietly across stellar distance might constitute an entirely standard event for which we merely need suitable research language and conceptual structure. Or it might constitute complex equipment intentionally built to outwardly mimic standard bodies, a type of galactic disguise method refined over temporal periods covering ages. Simultaneously, those continuous accounts coming from launch sites remind us that mysteries don't limit themselves solely to remote stellar spaces calculated in astronomical distances. They position themselves immediately alongside our planetary launch pads, maybe systematically observing how a developing infant mechanical culture slowly discovers ascending skyward. During past years, security organizations have investigated the same boundary using supporting research directions. Using secret efforts, including the Stargate program, they methodically studied distant perception events, examining the disputed supposed ability of human awareness to precisely detect remote happenings in places divided by huge geographic spans. Over 20 complete years, America's administration methodically supported controlled testing procedures where particularly prepared human subjects tried precisely explaining material sites entirely blocked from standard perception through massive spans or solid obstacles. The research conclusions stay intensely contested and disputed among scholars. However, the simple continuation of official support over governments reveals much regarding what security experts secretly determined. The limits establishing human sensory abilities obviously don't exist where standard brain science formally placed them. After you systematically organize these research elements across one theoretical diagram, something remarkable develops. The empty stellar voyager coming from remote cosmic regions. The quiet, mysterious vehicles repeatedly emerging alongside our launch attempts. The administration's continuous, genuine investigation of distant awareness events. A unified sequence starts forming clearly, not in complex plot hypotheses, but instead a basic connection linking apparently different findings. Perhaps these don't actually constitute distinct separate puzzles whatsoever, but instead varied expressions of one fundamental event that appears variably based on viewing magnitude and concentrated observation. As a computational scientist educated through careful mathematical systems, I'm trained favoring formulas beyond personal stories, wavelength information beyond observer accounts. However, surprisingly, the formulas repeatedly demonstrate that awareness and material substance remain connected through bonds we've hardly started understanding. The process of watching clearly changes what becomes watched at quantum dimensions. Developing hypothesis implies distance and duration could constitute developing features instead of basic reality components. At Planck dimensions, where quantum bubbles float, the cosmos acts less like predictable clock systems and more like moving aware consideration. Should this extreme understanding seem valid, then machines built using such awareness-focused concepts would seem entirely similar to sorcery for our present culture. A ship might perform immediate direction changes lacking force exchange since it's not really traveling across distance as we normally understand travel. Rather, it's actively changing the position structure under its place. These vehicles might emerge particularly throughout launch timings, since the concentrated process of shared human purpose, the coordinated mental concentration of countless technicians and flight managers, The activation of focused determination alongside fuel ignition produces recordable increase, as in quantum alignment that stay entirely apparent for any awareness particularly sensitive to consciousness networks. Maybe this describes exactly why these star beings repeatedly come throughout our launch efforts. They're not automatically responding to engine flames or radio waves, but instead reacting to the vibrating pattern of concentrated purpose, to that shining pulse of increased consciousness, focused strongly sufficient to briefly escape mass's limiting control over human culture. Maybe this same consciousness substance concept describes 3I Atlas's confusing properties. If awareness and material substance remain in basic quantum connection, then a survey device built using that profound understanding wouldn't need standard thrust motors or energy production mechanisms we recognize. It might actually guide its path among cosmic systems using concentrated consideration methods, maintaining its presence using perpetual quantum response connections, linking consciousness networks with fundamental likelihood networks. Its inner vacancy wouldn't constitute physical weakness or injury, but instead deliberate complex construction, a vibrating space particularly built for containing awareness, a quantum hollow where absolute data and material existence repeatedly combine and connect. If that directing awareness still actively exists inside 3I Atlas's empty core, or if our species currently studies just a primeval artifact, a deserted monument quietly moving across galactic forever for countless ages, stays a significant puzzle our present research tools can't conclusively resolve. However, despite missing conclusive solutions, the intellectual consequences seem overwhelming. Our species currently possesses 3 separately joining proof elements within reach: stellar bodies displaying properties that entirely challenge our standard celestial theories, extremely reliable educated observers repeatedly reporting mysterious vehicles operating inside Earth's personal environmental layer, and released official studies powerfully implying that human awareness could directly engage in building existence's basic framework. Each individual element studied separately becomes explainable or rejected, yet combined collectively, they create a mirroring area much too broad and unified to easily dismiss further. What might this joining signify for humanity, for this young mechanical culture that has just lately discovered escaping the mass restrictions limiting us to our original planet? It implies we might not remain solitary inside the region of natural principle and galactic awareness. It suggests that aware awareness might seem much more ancient, enormously wider in range, more closely integrated within the cosmos's basic structure than organic molecules alone. It shows that our species' following major investigation boundary might not concern traveling to Mars or remote Alpha Centauri. Our actual boundary might exist in that unknown limit area linking consciousness and substance. Should Loeb's computational studies seem valid, then 3I Atlas doesn't constitute an arbitrary meteor, but instead a purposeful communication written in spatial design, a proof that stellar spans become crossable, not using raw energy pressure exclusively, but using significant comprehension of X. Easton's fundamental concepts. Should Sansone's account seem valid, then those vehicles emerging alongside our launch sites don't constitute aggressive violations or regional breaches, but instead soft notifications that development includes beyond organic change, that as a developing race starts actually controlling its persona. L awareness. It obviously draws concentrated observation from those achieving that achievement previously. Maybe this describes why the cosmos seems remarkably silent for our antenna arrays, why remote suns avoid responding our radio transmissions. Perhaps actually sophisticated cultures completely stop communicating using loud radio waves. They interact rather using quantum vibration, using awareness directly, using the delicate coordination of consciousness, sustaining alignment over the galactic emptiness. Should this seem accurate, then the important puzzle changes entirely. It's not if we're getting washed. The puzzle turns into if our species remains prepared, understanding the complex dialect of observation. The double-slit test basically demonstrated that watching directly modifies existence at quantum dimensions. Therefore consider, what occurs as existence starts watching backward? 3. Atlas maintains its quiet path across our cosmic region, staying completely unconcerned regarding our theoretical hypotheses and computational arguments. It shall travel across the limited region dividing Earth from our star, maybe shining intensely or maybe not, until disappearing once more towards stellar void. Yet it has previously completed one actually remarkable task. It has forced our species to genuinely face the chance that the cosmos doesn't operate like a neutral platform where we act isolated individually, but instead functions like a connected system of aware watchers viewing each other over astronomical spans. Concerning those unknown vehicles repeatedly floating throughout our launch timings, maybe they don't constitute aggressive guards or dangerous attackers whatsoever, but instead tolerant observers, interested consciousness viewing with authentic interest that crucial growth, instant as an infant coes. Might culture initially discovers ascending past its environmental support. Through science, we often highlight that recording constitutes a conversation, a mutual connection among watch mechanism and aware watcher. The basic process of recording doesn't constitute neutral documentation, but direct engagement in existence's building. Should this understanding remain accurate, then merely through focusing our instruments upward and viewing the universe, our species has previously entered this significant discussion. Maybe that constitutes the connecting element linking these apparently different stories. The stellar guests coming from the frozen expanses outside our cosmic limits. The mysterious vehicles emerging exactly as we try ascending past Earth's environment. The secret human tests methodically examining awareness and its connection to material existence. They entirely constitute varied aspects of the same galactic puzzle reverberating across the cosmos. What really occurs as spread consciousness reaches the important point of identifying itself functioning at galactic dimensions. The solution won't develop from inflexible, absolute beliefs or easy rejection of disturbing data. It shall form from the following accurate recording our tools record, the following strange wave our antennas find, the following brave process of examining openly and information repeatedly, despite those discoveries significantly disturbing our current understanding. Since that characteristic beyond everything defines what makes an actually research-based culture. Not the incorrect security of complete confidence, but instead interest strong sufficient and durable sufficient to endure facing the actually mysterious lacking retreating. Maybe eventually soon we shall definitively verify that 3i Atlas remained completely standard throughout, merely a solid primeval shell formed over ages through unusual celestial energies. We continue attempting calculating computationally, or maybe rather we shall finally discover that it remained intentionally built in remote history through awareness that understands existence in quantum wave designs instead of organic tissue and molecules. Both discovery, any reality develops, this body has previously satisfied its significant objective. It has forever notified our species that the cosmos seems more unusual, impossibly more profound, and much more deliberately conscious than our restricted thoughts formerly risked understanding. And distant beyond in the void past Mars's trajectory route, an empty organized form spins gradually inside the soft light of our ordinary star, rotating constant like a galactic pulse. Maybe a signal sent over astronomical distances from different primeval awareness. Or maybe the beginning introduction announcing our personal race's awareness emerging toward its actual galactic capability.